Hello, World Schooling families. Do you wish you had more opportunities to connect with others who understand the unique joys and challenges of traveling and learning on the go? Hi, I'm Suzy, and I'm excited to invite you to a special virtual World Schoolers meetup happening Friday, August 8th at 3 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. This is a chance for parents and kids alike to meet, share, and build community. We'll start with warm introductions, then move into small breakout groups to foster deeper connections. We'll finish up with a big group gathering, and the best part is you can join us for the whole hour or just pop in when it works for you and your family. To join this wonderful gathering, check the show notes, look for upcoming events on my website, or grab a calendar link directly from my Instagram bio. Can't wait to see you there. Also, if you're in Denver, Colorado, join us for the in-person World Schoolers Picnic on September 28th from 12 to 3. Look forward to seeing you. Now let's get on to the episode. Hola and hello, I'm Suzy, and welcome to the Wander Slow Family Travel Podcast, where we discuss the stories, logistics, and finances of long-term traveling families and the multitude of ways to learn and educate along the way. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Welcome back to Wander Slow Family Travel Podcast. Today I have the honor of having Björn Boy on from Germany. Tell us a little more about who you are, your family, where you're living, and some of your recent travels.
Thank you for having me first. And we are a family of four. My wife and I, we have a daughter. She's 8 and a son, and he is just turned 6. So we are living in Germany, south of Munich, close to the border to Austria. And we did a world trip back in 22, 23. And now we are on our mission to start the next world trip in August for open end.
That's exciting. We'll definitely get into some of that, where you plan to travel to. Are you and your wife also working right now in Germany?
We're both working. My wife is working part-time. I'm an entrepreneur, video editor, and videographer. So I'm self-employed, but I'm working full-time.
So those are jobs that you can take with you and even incorporate into your travel.
Yes, in some regions, for sure. We definitely have to see where it's possible to work on the road remotely. In some countries, it's not allowed, but in some others, it's possible, yes.
What is one of your earliest travel memories?
My earliest travel memories was last year. We headed to Oman. So in the Saudi Arabia region, we had a Jeep with a rooftop tent. And yeah, we went to Oman for 10 days.
What was the best part about that trip?
I'm completely honest, the best part was the hotel before and after the rooftop tent tour. It was new for us. We booked this Jeep and the rooftop tent, and we wanted to experience that kind of travel style, but it was not as expected. It was too chaotic for us with 2 kids to live out of a Jeep, and everything was not very well organized. So yeah, I'm honest, it's not our style of traveling.
What would you say is more your style of travel?
We have a big RV for German comparisons.
Mm-hmm.
So we are normally camping in our RV, and we have our own house on wheels with us, and everything is organized, and we have a proper kitchen and proper bathroom and everything. So that's our style of traveling.
We did 2 months to Canada, and we didn't have a full RV, but we did have all of our stuff with us. And I do find that, especially with kids, when you can have the toys and some of those comforts and bring basically everything with you, that can be very helpful, especially at the ages of your children. My kids are 5.5 and 8, so same ages.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you did a longer family travel trip?
Yes, in 2022 and 2023, we went on a world trip for 16 months and traveled 25 countries. And that was our first world trip experience with the kids. They were little, they were 5 and 2. And we enjoyed it that much that we thought, let's go on another one.
That's great. What was that like, traveling through that many countries? Was it a mix of fast travel mixed in with some slow travel, or what did you find worked best for your family?
Yeah, it was kind of a mixture. We started in Costa Rica for 3 weeks, and then we continued to the US and traveled to the US and Canada with our own RV, which we shipped over from Germany. And that was slow travel in terms of how many countries we visited during that time of 6 months. But we were quite fast in like how many places we visited. So we made a full round of the US, I think 26 states and up to Canada, and that was quite fast. So we get bored after 2 or 3 days on the same spot. And after that, we decided to go to French Polynesia and New Zealand, and after that, Southeast Asia. And we stayed for 2 or 3 weeks in every country. And then we headed back to the home direction, to Cyprus and Jordan, and then finally back to Germany again. And then we picked up our RV and we made a Europe trip again to the north of Europe, like Sweden, Norway, Estonia, Latvia. And there we just stayed for a week in these countries.
And when you were not with the RV, did you wish you had the RV, or was it working well with the family to do more of the backpack traveling?
Yeah, that was fine. Airbnb is totally fine for us too, for a certain amount of time. The kids are also, I would say they prefer the RV, but they are also fine with our accommodation Airbnbs.
And you mentioned you're coming up on another trip, planning to depart in August. Tell me more about where this trip will take you.
It's one of our biggest project. I think we are leaving Germany completely. So we are deregistering here and leaving our home behind us. And then we are going again to Canada and the US and also Mexico with our RV. So we were shipping it over the second time. We should have left it just over there. So the plan is to explore North America even more and stay for a year probably. And then after that, make the round, I think, around the world. Nothing is booked, everything is flexible, but I want to go to French Polynesia again and probably New Zealand and maybe Australia. My wife wants to go to Australia, but who knows?
So open-ended travel.
Yes.
That's exciting. And how are the kids feeling about this upcoming trip?
They're excited. So our daughter is very excited. She's had enough of her school experience. I remember a sentence she said last year, and we're talking about our plans a lot with our kids. And I asked her if it's okay if we go on a world trip next year. And she said, yes, Dad, that's all right. I think 1 year of school is enough for me. So she's excited. She wants to go and leaving everything behind. And our son also is maybe a little bit sad because he loves kindergarten and his friends, but he's also fine with it, and he's looking forward to have lots of nature and experience new things.
Mm-hmm. It can be a different way of thinking when it comes to schooling on the road versus more in class. My husband grew up in Germany, so he says it is very different in many ways. Have you thought more about if you'll follow a curriculum or do more unschooling, world schooling? What type of educational plan have you thought about for your children?
We will have a combination of world schooling, road schooling, and we also follow a curriculum from an institution or a company called the Deutsche Fernschule, German remote school, translated. So they provide us with all the papers and worksheets and also materials. We have 50 kilograms of materials with all the stuff for them, rubber gums, pens, paper, everything, little dolls, ropes, and everything they use to integrate into the curriculum and into the lessons and into the classes. So we put all this in our RV and we try to school our children with world schooling and also the remote school.
I can see why you would want to have an RV even more with all those materials. That would be an entire suitcase.
Even more.
With the open-ended travels coming up, you mentioned that you do work online and hoping to expand on that business. What has worked well for a location-independent business for you? And then what have been some of the challenges?
I think the biggest challenge is the time difference. So if you have customers in Europe and you are working from Southeast Asia, or also New Zealand has a digital nomad visa now and you are working from New Zealand, then you have a 12-hour time difference and you might have meetings in the middle of the night. So I think this is the biggest challenge. Apart from that, it's the same work, same things. Of course, you need good internet and a good connection for calls or uploading and downloading stuff. But I think the time difference is the biggest challenge.
That can be difficult, especially with children where they're sleeping and maybe you're trying to do a work call. Living in Spain with my husband working from a US, it's actually worked well. He works like noon until 8. And it's when the kids are at school, and then we have dinner late in Spain anyhow. It is one reason we landed here, because you're right, you do have to take into account time zones. Do you have a typical monthly travel budget that you try to stay under?
We have quite the experience from our recent world trip. So we spent in 16 months, we spent around 80,000 euros, about 5,500 euros per month. We worked a little bit on the road, but we had also savings. And this time we also have savings because we can't work in the US and Canada with our visas. We have to rely on our savings during that time. But apart from that, at some stage, you need some income to have in your bank account to make it sustainable.
That sounds like a great budget. And I'm sure it's pretty comparable, or maybe even less than what someone might spend living at their home in Germany. Certainly in the US, that type of spending could be very typical. So it's amazing to think that actually you can travel full time as a family for sometimes the same or even less than what someone would spend in their home country.
Yes, I think it would be even less this time, because last time we had quite a lot of expenses on not expected things. And also the shipment of the RV is quite expensive. That was one big block of spendings. The longer you are traveling in an RV and you can boondock, just free roam, and you don't have to pay for every night, then it's getting less and less expensive. We plan to cut the budget a little bit, 5,500 or 5,000. We wouldn't spend here in Germany, and then we don't have to pay rent on the road. So it might be less.
That seems like one of the benefits of having your own lodging with you, is that it can spread out that cost. Did you have any troubles finding places to boondock or to stay? Are there resources that help people find places to stay depending on the country and the location they're at?
The only place where it's not so easy to find overnight places, it's in the city. Like in Los Angeles, it was challenging or not possible at all. San Francisco was also a bit hard. But apart from the cities, if we go in open desert areas, Arizona, Utah, it's all fine. Just there are apps we were using, iOverlander app and Free Roam. Both apps are absolutely incredible value. You have thousands of places you can look up, and they have reviews, they have photos, and you can read if it's safe, what the amenities are, where it's located. You have GPS coordinates and everything. It's in one app, and I think the new iOverlander app is $10 a month. So very cheap. And in New Zealand, there's another app called Campermate. I think it's for New Zealand and also Australia, and it's the same system. So it's very easy to find cheap overnight places for your camper van.
I've also heard of harvest hosts. You get to stay in different farms or maybe some unique locations, and it seems like there could be a cost involved. So
yeah, harvest hosts. We also used that one 5 or 6 times.
Oh, great.
Not as often as we thought it would be, but it's also a great resource because you can just call them or book online, and you have like places on wineries or golf courses or even in private driveways. And then typically the membership relies on you are staying for free, but then you buy some stuff from their homemade bread or cheese or whatever the farm has or whatever the winery has or the golf course offers. And so it's a give and take.
I like that even better. You probably want to experience their farm or wine anyhow. So that seems like it could work out really well. Thank you for sharing more about your budget, because I think as families are trying to think about, is this something I could do? They're thinking logistically how to make this work. Do you have any tips or tricks that you've learned along the way to save money while traveling? Certainly bringing your own accommodation can help, but anything else you found that helps with financial aspect of long-term traveling?
I think one of the biggest things we are not spending money on is food. Like we are always preparing our own food. We are not eating out and not spending a lot of money on restaurants. So we typically make our own meals every day. And that's one of the biggest savings, I would say, if you're not going and dine out everywhere. Accommodation and food is the biggest block of your budget for sure. And there you can save a lot of money.
Absolutely. Have you been tempted, though, to sometimes experience a local cuisine? It can be so varied in parts of the US that it's not necessarily always local. But I think that's been our balance of we want to try different things, but obviously it can add up quickly as a family of four.
Sometimes we just felt for a pile of pancakes, or in some places it's not even possible to prepare your own food in the middle of the city and strolling around and try to explore the area. And then you think, okay, it's noon again. We have to find something to eat. So we have to go to a restaurant or grab a snack or something. We can't avoid it all the time, but we try to make it not so often. And especially in the US, the cuisine is quite fast food heavy. So we try to avoid that as well. In places like New Zealand, they also don't have a very big local cuisine, like in Italy, for example. So I think the most popular meal is fish and chips in New Zealand. So nothing I must have every day. So we're fine with cooking our own meals and not eating out.
Absolutely. What are some, either on your last trip or as you're preparing for this next trip, what are some of the joys about planning and thinking about long-term travel? And then next, we'll talk about some of the challenges.
I think the biggest joy is spending so much time with your kids. We wake up, we have time with our kids, and we go to bed, and we can just spend the whole day with them exploring the nature. We can hike a lot. We are quite active, so we try to hike a lot, and we just enjoy being in the nature. I think this is our biggest goal or our biggest benefit from traveling, because here in Germany we have a house with a small garden. Sure, we can go outside when the weather is good, but it's nothing compared to have long hikes, 8-10 kilometers hikes with the kids to a waterfall and bath into some waterfall ponds. So this is great, and we just like the nature.
My husband grew up in Germany, so he does joke that it's not about the weather, it's about what you're wearing in order to get outside. But living in Spain, where we can be outside year round, makes a huge difference in terms of just the ability and the ease of being outside in nature. So I completely understand the desire to be somewhere where you can be outside more, especially with children who are active and want to be on the go. But what are your tricks to getting your kids to hike up to 10 kilometers? We are not quite there yet. So I'm open to any tricks or suggestions.
When we started our world trip, our son was 2 and he was able to maybe walk for 500 meters. So he wasn't a hiker at all. After our world trip, I think the longest hike we had was 14 kilometers in New Zealand to a waterfall, about 6 or 7 hours. And I think the key is to insert snacks all the time, like every half an hour, snack time. Just sit down, have a rest, just relax and keep it easy for them. Try to entertain them a little bit, make some games or tell them about the plants or the surrounding areas or anything what's interesting for them. And then they are more likely to cooperate for longer hikes.
Those are great suggestions. Snacks for the win. What are some of the challenges, either from your last trip or as you're getting ready for this next long leg of travel?
I think the biggest challenge is to be flexible with your schedule or with your timetable or with your plans. When you're traveling, you can always plan ahead a certain level of having accommodation or stops or anything, but you have to be flexible. Something doesn't work out as planned. We had some situations on our last world trip where we had Airbnbs not looking very good. So we had to change places. And I think the biggest challenge or the biggest thing on your travels is you have to be adaptable to new situations for you as a parent or as a couple, and also for the kids. And even more with kids, because you are in a challenging situation, but the first thing you have to think about is keeping the kids happy, because if they are not happy, then you are obviously also not happy, and then it makes the whole situation worse.
Very true. What does a typical day look like? You mentioned spending a lot of time with the children. What does a typical day look like in terms of getting out and exploring and incorporating schooling?
Last trip, our kids weren't go to school, so we had quite a little bit more time, and we planned this time to wake up, have breakfast quite early, around 7 or 7:30. And then we want to have a routine with schooling, maybe for an hour, maybe 1.5, and then go whatever the place is offering us. If we go on a hike, or if we explore the city or the little town. And then we are also quite strict on planned meals at 12 or 12:30. We need a good meal. And after that, it's maybe driving time to go to another place or just explore other regions. And then having more time to play with the kids in the evening. They are playing great together. So this is great for them to have some free time. They are listening a lot to audiobooks. It's kind of a normal day.
Sounds like an awesome day. Those are the type of days that actually go by quite quickly. And then you look back and we just ate and played and drove a little bit and got to see the sights. It feels full, but also routine in a good way.
Yes, yes.
Tell me some of the resources that have helped you in terms of being on the road long term.
It depends on which type of traveling we are. When we are RVing, the biggest resource is the apps for the overnight stays and Google Maps. So we look everything up in Google Maps. Where's the next hike? Where's the next site, or what we want to see? We use Instagram quite a lot to be inspired by others. And we do the markings on our Google Map, and we have 500 markings already on the US and Canada, what places we want to see. And if we are not in our RV and we are in Asia or in these places, I think the biggest resource is we used quite a lot TripAdvisor. The last thing we did on TripAdvisor was a cooking class in Thailand. So we look that one up, or elephant sanctuary. Yeah, I think TripAdvisor is also great for families to look things up.
Great. And you're offering a new resource soon? Do you want to tell us more about your app that you're working on?
Yes, sure. We found ourselves in a situation where we thought, how great would it be if we knew, or we have a map where you can see other families with like-minded people and same age kids, and we see on the map where they are. And maybe there are some families just around the corner, a few kilometers away, and we can just catch up and they can have a play date, or we can have a coffee and the kids have some more socializing with other families. And there's not an app of this kind, not even a website of this kind. And then I started to develop it with a very small team with one developer. We are developing it in the last stages now. We are ready to launch hopefully in 2 or 3 weeks. And the app will hopefully help a lot of families to find other families, to chat. You can upload pictures. You can even scroll in the timeline and you can add your routes. And then you can add your routes where you will be in the month or in 3 or 4 weeks. And then you can see where others are in 3 or 4 weeks, and you can maybe catch up if it aligns with your travel plans.
It sounds very useful and very needed. I agree. That's one reason the Facebook groups are so popular, but you miss things in there. I'm sure there's just great conversations happening that I don't always catch or we don't see because of the algorithm. So having an off Facebook platform where people could put their travels and then matching up with different families that are traveling. And what will the app be called?
Linkease.
Make it easy to link up.
Yeah, hopefully.
Oh, that's great. I will look forward to when it comes out fully published and I can download it on Google Play. I'll make sure to share that in the show notes so people can check that out as they're interested in connecting with traveling families. So it sounds like you could put in where you're going, and would you have a family profile with your family's information?
Yes, you can put up some photos of your family, of your kids if you want. You can put your interest, age of the kids. You can put up your routes, your next destinations. and you can filter the map exactly for these interests or country of origin or language spoken, next travel routes, lots of filters to be applied. And then you can just look on the map and see what comes up or where the families are.
Very excited to see that come to fruition so people can use that to help coordinate meeting up with traveling families. Anything else that you want to share about either your family, your journey, your upcoming travels, or any other resources?
Apart from our own app, we're using Instagram. Our username is Little Travel Family. So anyone who wants to follow our travels, it's in German. My wife is the active part of Instagram. She's doing all the stories and the posts. So yeah, if you want, just follow us along the road and maybe we can catch up in the US or anywhere else, Canada, who knows?
And tell me a little more about your travel podcast.
We started that one, I think, half a year ago. No, last year in November. And we thought about what else can we do to inspire families? Because back when we started our family world trip, we inspired one family, friends of ours, and they decided to go on the same world trip, also same RV, also same shipment to the US. They decided it in 3 months. So they made it work in 3 months to go on a world trip.
That's impressive.
Yes, absolutely. And then we decided, what can we do to inspire others even more? I'm a videographer, but I don't like to spend a lot more time on videos. I'm already doing my business. And my wife is listening to podcasts. So she said, let's do a podcast and just talk about other families and interview other families and what they are doing. And then we started our Nomad Kids podcast on Spotify. It's in German, but we interview every 2 weeks, one long-term traveling family.
The families have been mainly other German families that you've connected with before, or who else have you been able to connect with on your podcast?
Yes, it's mainly German-speaking families, so Austrian, Switzerland, and Germany.
It's great to have different options to connect with people. My kids like if we connect with other English-speaking families, but since they're learning German and Spanish, I appreciate if I get to connect with other families where they get to practice those languages. Tell me where people can connect with you if they want to learn more about you or your podcast or your resources.
First on Instagram, Little Travel Family. Then we also have a website. It's nomadkids.de, where you can also find the podcast. And it's on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and all platforms where you can listen to podcasts. And also Linkease.app for the Linkease app.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.